A big part of how we set up the game is to facilitate what we call individual play styles. You should be able to play the game like you want to play it. That means that there is not just one winning strategy or one way to be good at the game. It's very personal. Hello everybody, my name is Martin Hultberg. I'm Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, as well as Narrative Director at Sharkmob. As Narrative Director, you are a strong collaborator. You provide the direction for a bunch of other people. So in a way, I am kind of like the dungeon master of a team of people creating a world. So when we started creating Exoborne a few years ago, I was one of the first people who came on board on our team, basically because what we had to do was create a brand new universe. We needed to create a new IP. And that kind of starts with lore and background story and player characters and stuff like that. Many of us had worked on Tom Clancy's The Division at another company. And in that game, we kind of got to destroy New York through a pandemic. And we were like, okay, what's the next step after destroying New York? Well, it's destroying the world. So we needed a global phenomenon, a global disaster. So we went for the climate disaster and the forces of nature, because we kind of saw a lot of survival games that took place in Eastern Europe. And we thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to be in the US? It's a bit more relatable for a big part of the audience. There are a lot of TV shows and movies that we can spin off and be inspired by. So we decided the United States. And then you take the next step, which is where in the United States? And we decided, okay, we're commonly always in big cities in most games. Let's be in the countryside instead. Let's be in rural America. And then it goes on like that. It's an online game, it's a live game. So it's not just a story that runs from A to B and then it's over. It is more about providing a strong context for the world, so you as a player feel like you're immersed in this world, and there are characters you can relate to, and there are things happening that you understand because you've kind of been a part of them. You got to remember it's a team effort, so it's not about individually winning a match, it's about your team winning a match. So if you look at it from that perspective, strategies actually become more complex and bigger if you're very competitive. You can deploy solo. I do that a lot, but that is super challenging. I do it mostly to scavenge and find specific items that I want, or to do certain missions or challenges. But if you are solo, obviously if you go up against a 3-person team, you're at a disadvantage. The game is a lot about traversal, and the weather affects traversal as well, both on the horizontal and on the vertical space. So always be aware of the weather and adapt to the changes. Analyze what's going on around you, adapt to that, and try to overcome that situation by always being fluid in how you address the combat. Earlier in my career, before I started working at Sharkmob in 2017, I worked a few years as a user research manager, which is basically analyzing gameplay and analyzing when people play. It's a kind of strange experience to watch another person play your game, because you have this mental expectation of how you design something and how they will interact with it, and often they do not interact with it the way you expected them to do. And then the gut feeling is like, oh, they're not good at playing your game, but then after a while you also realize, maybe it's not me who is good at conveying what I wanted them to understand. And so watching people play is painful. It's supposed to be painful, and that's actually a good experience. At Sharkmob, we do weekly playtests, so we bring people in from as far away as we can get, and then we watch them play. We have eye trackers, we have heat maps. We have a camera that faces, like a webcam. We can see the facial expression of the people. So we can compare the facial expression with what they were looking at on the screen, their data, and their own interpretation of what happened. Body language gives away almost everything. Like, some of the people we've hired are actual psychologists who can analyze these things, because it is a science in itself. I look more towards the narrative. So the stuff I saw was like, we need to be clearer on communicating this point. We probably need to inject another mission here to give better context. We need an extra line of dialogue.
Let's finish the fight.
Anything we can do to kind of support the flow and make sure everyone understands on a narrative point of view, that's often what you see. What's going to be unique now with this big test that we're doing in February is that it's a big online test. That is important for us because we are making an online game with probably a very big community at some point. And so the size of the community affects how people interact with each other and interact with the game system. We're going to get feedback from all over the world, from people from different cultures, different countries, different languages. All of this is stuff that has been hard for us to measure in the past, and now we'll finally get that. Most people who make games don't make it just because it's a job. They do it because they have a passion for it and they burn for it. And so they invested a lot of effort into doing something, and then someone plays it, and when it works, it's fantastic. When it doesn't work, it is super stressful, painful, annoying, irritating, any negative feeling you can come up with because you really believed in what you did. That's how we learn, actually. That's how anyone learns, by making mistakes and learning from those mistakes. And the best way to do it in game development is to watch other people play your game and be open to the feedback they give you.